charge on that one?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was a simpler time right here. When girls put "I love Lil Romeo" on their eyelids.
I mean, come on, man. This is the hardest shit you've ever had. Is like macking in high school. And you wanna call out for our verses, nigga? Really?
Lil Romeo and Nick Cannon. Yeah, it gets no harder than this. You're absolutely right about that. Dear God.
Who doesn't remember high school thinking about how cool that was? You know who
This
doesn't?
was not high
People
school
that have
for you.
lives. Okay.
When did this video come out? Hold on, where's the information on here?
Fucking Lil Romeo.
It doesn't say. From Romeo on the album Romeo Land. You look that up on Wikipedia and you tell me when it came out. Because I'm pretty sure I blocked this time from memory. This had to be between 2000 and 2005, just based on the fact that everything does not fit.
Right. And these dudes are trying. I mean, come on, man. This is, these dudes are softer than baby doo-doo, talking about, we need to battle. Like, nigga, get your GED first, then,
Thank you all for tuning in to the Showtime and Kev podcast, yet again, dealing with our shenanigans. I'm Corey Showtime.
I'm Kevin Monroe.
And we can't get this show started no matter how much we go down memory lane to how the toughest people in high school were rocking the basketball shit until Kevin does his island intro. So if you'd be so kind.
In the name of the one call Emperor Selassie, conquering tribe of Judah, King of Kings and Santa Cruz Reggae Music Festival with the rascal that going up in this piece of the mercy. Brakashak, brak.
Every time you do this, I'm like, the rhythm is a little different. But here we are. Thank you guys for tuning in. Kevin, what do we have on the show for them today?
Oh man, we kind of leaked the intro a little bit because Versus has been going on for a long time, and Bow Wow versus Lil Romeo started showing up. People were talking about they should do a Versus, and I went on Twitter and told people I thought Bow Wow was a little light in the ass to even be trying to do a Versus, okay? Because we had Versus with like Patti LaBelle, Earth, Wind, and Fire, the Isley Brothers. Cats that have been around for generations. You know what I'm saying? So you can't be coming out there with like your little high school one hit, and try to like hit like that. So I was gonna start off with that, but that's just a little entree, just a little bon mot to start the thing. Bow Wow versus Lil Romeo. I mean, come on, man. Can you name a single Bow Wow hit?
No.
Thank you. Okay. You don't have to be a fan of Earth, Wind, and Fire, but you know September, okay?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be a fan
back.
of Patti LaBelle, but you got to know I'm On My Own. You got to know the whole, like, Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack, all that. I mean, come on. Do you know a single Lil Romeo hit?
I know a lot of his father's music. Nah.
Yeah, if Master P wanted to do a versus Juvenile, okay, I'll rock with that.
That'd be interesting.
Because that'd be some. I mean, Juvie got some hits, Master P got some hits, and you got to choose sides. But Lil Bow Wow versus Romeo, I mean, I think that the only fans they have are like single mothers, like at over 30 right now. Like, I remember in high school, he was cute. Like, what I'm saying? So, anyway, but that's not what we came here to talk about. There's some real shit happening right now, man. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it, man. Look, in the comedy world, there's been a seismic thing, a seismic shift that's happened. There's this cat out here in Los Angeles. His name is Tony Hinchcliffe. He runs a show called Kill Tony, which I have been in a couple times. You do a 2-minute set, and then Tony.
Oh, it's 2 minutes?
Skinny,
just one.
it's like 2 minutes, something like that, and then this skinny white dude crushes your hopes and dreams, and he's kind of a dick about it because that's the whole point of the show. Like he's
Yeah.
supposed to be like a gatekeeper of like Hollywood comedy, and then on May 6th, this is what happened. He was at the Vulcan Gas Company in Austin, Texas, doing a show, and this comedian Peng Dang, Chinese comic, opened for him, brought Tony Hinchcliffe on stage. And Tony just jumped right off and said, "Thank you for bringing me on stage, you filthy fucking chink," and just threw every Chinese stereotype he could find. He emptied the bucket. I mean, he bing, 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 just like went
Pretty
through
sure
the
that was
whole
note
thing.
for note, actually.
What's that?
I said, I'm pretty sure what you just did, he did that note for note.
Yeah,
Like the Hong Kong
he
Phooey intro and everything.
emptied the bucket of Chinese stereotypes on the dude, and now he's facing consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, everybody's saying, well, this is classic cancel culture. So what do you think about that, Corey?
It's interesting that people like to claim cancel culture when it's consequences. Like, I've had a lot of different comedians' perspectives on this over the last couple of days. And it's been interesting, mainly because most of the ones that have a different perspective are white. But it's also interesting.
Do tell.
It's also very interesting that, like, a lot of the people that were on Tony's side about this were like, this is how he always has been, which is true. You know what I mean? Like, you explained it at the top of the thing. Like, if you go, I'll explain it to a lot of people out there. If you go to the Comedy Store on a Monday as a comedian, you go there for potluck and you go there for Kill Tony. And the potluck is like the open mic that kind of moves you up the ladder, where you do some time, hopefully in front of some people that in charge of booking at the Comedy Store, and then they like you, they put you on other shows, this, that, and the third. Now, if you don't get on that show, which is more than likely because there's a long line of comics trying to get on that particular mic, there's also one going on at the same time, which is the Kill Tony podcast, which is basically like Kevin just said, you go up for like a minute, and then they spend like 5 minutes ripping you apart, you know? And
Right.
Tony's, I don't know Tony, I just know of him because I've been I've been to the store on a Monday, and I've never had any urge to want to do that show. You know what I mean? Because like I like me personally, I like the self-esteem that I have, you know, and I'd like to keep it intact. Yeah,
there's no reason to have your dignity ripped apart by, you know,
not on purpose. Like like some people love roast. That's not necessarily for me. But he does the most evil type things he can say, and that's just always been his MO. That's his spiel. That's his appeal. Now, it'd be one thing if he was playing an act. If he was just being a character, and then off the stage, he's a nice guy, and he doesn't feel that way. But from also even the same people that are defending him, they're like, no, that's him. And they also said that the reason he said all those things that he said was because he was riffing off the Ping Ding, the comic that brought him up. And as a comic, we all know how that goes. You go up on stage after somebody who does, like, that's kind of an easy way to like keep the rhythm going in the show. Like the last comic does a joke, you're able to rip off of that. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
but
yeah. Normally you could be like, you know, give it up for this, you know, blah blah blah, and just roll with it. Yeah.
And also,
however,
it pays to be, you know, like have a relationship with that comedian. You know what I mean? Like if you and I are doing a show, and you do a self-deprecating joke, and I rip off of that, I know it's cool because you and I are friends. We've been together we've known each other for a minute. We've worked together before. It's not going to be like a big deal. The fact that he didn't seem to know this dude and just ripped right into that, right? As soon as I saw that, I was like, That was a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for you. You know. And
I mean, you went in a way that was just so like un. It wasn't even like you could shed that
yeah,
because
to
like
put it
if it
in
was
perspective,
personal, like
yeah, to put in perspective, that'd be like if I just did my set, and even if I'm going like, yeah, my nigga this and my nigga that, and these niggas over here, and then Tony goes up, all right, give it up for that nigga over there. That's not gonna fly.
yeah, because
Not
we're
with
not cool
me.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we ain't cool like even if we are cool like that. Nah, bro. Like you gonna have to find another way to do that. Like because
Mm-hmm.
I'm at like if I'm not gonna be like to the point where I want to reach across this stage, like I'm definitely gonna talk to you after the show. Like, yo, that was not cool. You know?
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, even if yeah, especially like for being like completely racially insensitive like that. Like you, number one, you gotta know a cat, and
Mm-hmm.
number two, even if you know that cat, like you gotta, I mean, you gotta make sure that shit is couched very
Yeah.
well into some kind of satire. But it wasn't like that. And the
No.
thing to me that killed me was like the audience, a bunch of white dudes are going like, "Oh fuck yeah, fucking chinks, yeah," you know what I mean? And that kind of made me feel like people aren't getting like even if you were doing it like from a sense of like irony or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, you know what I mean? Like yo, uh, they're not getting the message. They're taking it like straight ahead. Like they're really thinking like this is it's okay to say that.
Yeah, and that's 100% of the problem. Like that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that this dude did something just straight up racist, no matter even like people keep saying, "Oh, he didn't mean it." All context, it's like, nah. No matter how you take it in this climate, in this context, it's fucking racist, right? The
Well, I
fact
mean,
that people are
what
upset that he's
context?
facing. Okay,
What context is calling a Chinese person a fucking chink? What's the context that makes that okay? I'd like to
right?
know.
I have no rebuttal. But as far as that, as far as all that is concerned, the fact that they want to call it cancel culture because there's consequences to doing something stupid. I don't know what else to tell you, bro. Like that, like there are instances where cancel culture, so to speak. I don't even like using the phrase because in this country we really take a key term and fucking run with it. But as far as cancel culture is concerned, like it can get to the point where like we just jump to conclusions before and try somebody before the facts come out. This ain't one of
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely not. No. And I watched the video. I made sure I watched the entire video because some people were like, "Oh, you got to see the context." I'm like, "Nah, there's no
them.
context. And that's what he did."
Yeah.
But it's not surprising to me because what I've learned from living in America is white people don't understand that there are consequences to what they do, and so they're inevitably surprised over and over again when what they say has consequences, and they go, "Oh, what? I was just saying things." Yeah, you know what? Everybody says things, but everybody else in the world knows that what you say has consequences.
Indeed.
They don't seem to get that. So
No, they
that's
just
why
don't
it's so
want it to.
surprising.
That's part of white privilege. They're used to being able to do whatever they want with no consequence. And now that there are actual consequences, that seems like tyranny. To us, that's just life. You know, like I've been like I'm surprised that I'm lucky that I work at a job where my hair won't get me fired. Not anything I said, not anything I did, my hair won't get me fired because I work in a job that well, it's not corporate, but it's a company, and if it's their culture to not have dreadlocks, and this shit gotta go or I gotta go. That's like that's nothing new, you know. This dude
Yeah.
went out there and said, you know, ching ching chang chong, and it's like what? What's the problem? Because this is the first time that he's ever gotten in trouble for that.
Right. Yeah, his management dropped him. He was on tour with Joe Rogan. I looked at the Joe Rogan poster. It was hilarious because he was on there, and then the next day, like it was only Joe Rogan. So
That was
I
I've
was
never
like,
seen something move so quickly.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
Grand opening, grand
and
closing.
even Joe Rogan, yep, yep, grand opening, grand closing, and even Joe Rogan, who's like a very open-minded person, who's like, I'm just here to listen to everybody's thoughts about MMA and science or whatever.
Mhm.
Like even Joe Rogan's like, nah, nigga, you're not gonna fuck up my money.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing: Joe Rogan's PR team has got to be having a week, haven't they? Oh man, like just not even a week. Like it's been a rough year for him because I like Joe Rogan. And I feel like even that is polarizing. But it's like I'm an MMA fan. I think a lot of us. I like the fact that his podcast allows like everybody. He brings on people I do not agree with, and he brings on people that I'm interested in, and he talks to everybody. But and he's dead wrong on a lot of shit. But he'll be the first one to admit it, and I think that's like very humble of him. Now, his clique, bruh, you're having a rough time.
Yeah, I mean, he hangs up with a lot of meatheads and a lot of idiots, and I mean, the fact that we give him credit for listening to people that aren't as stupid as him is a really really low barrier, really low. Like, oh, you're not completely stupid. Oh, all right.
That's not the reason. That's not the reason.
Or you have a scientist. Oh, you actually listen to somebody that studied some shit. Oh, well, he's a genius among meatheads. Okay.
No, I never said he was a genius. I just like the
but
fact,
he is. I'm saying he is.
Most meatheads won't listen to someone that has a difference of opinion in that.
That's my point. His barrier to entry is so low.
Yeah. No, like it's interesting to see Candace Owens and Neil deGrasse Tyson on a show 2 weeks apart. You feel me?
No. Candace Owens should not be on. Candace Owens should be like begging for change on the 101 freeway. There's no reason. Look, there are people like Neil deGrasse Tyson has a doctorate in astronomy. Candace Owens barely passed high school and is a complete fucking idiot. Those two people. So this is the problem when people go, well, we have to listen to both sides. No, we don't have to listen to a barely literate fucking moron. Okay,
I know,
listen
but I
to
can
the
also
astrophysicist.
I can also go to listen to Bernie Sanders. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying, he's had every single type of guest you can think of.
I'm just against. I'm totally down with Bernie Sanders or people on the political spectrum that are different. That's fine. But cranks and carnival barkers like Candace Owens, like no, fuck out of here. And this is the problem with people like Joe Rogan. They can't tell the difference. They think, oh well, this person has a different opinion, so we should bring them on.
No. It's not because of that. He's bringing them on because of ratings. Like, let's be honest with that. Like, he's not bringing on Alex Jones because he wants to get his fucking opinion on something.
Like Alex, can you do my taxes? Yeah, I know. He has, and that's the problem. That's the problem. Like
no, I get that. I'm just like, and I'm taking it at face value. Is my point. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I turn on a radio show, I'm gonna hear everything. You know, this is entertainment to me. So it's interesting to be like, oh shit, I'm hearing Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm hearing Bernie Sanders, and then the next thing you know, it's like, oh, Candace Owens, click that shit off, you know?
Yeah, I'm not down with that, man. But that's my personally.
But here's the thing, though. That's how TV works. Talk shows are always gonna have people you like and don't like.
Yeah, but I mean, I never watched like Maury Povich, to try to get knowledge. Every once in a while I flip it on just to see.
I went there to get
entertainment. Right. But the problem is, like, in these forums, they try to push all the shit as information, right? So when you have scientists on your show, and the next week you have these fucking cranks, and you giving them the same amount of, like, time. And most of the time he has MMA fighters.
So it's like, I'm saying, it's a podcast.
Well, I mean, come on. Like, why would you listen to a dude that's been hit in the head and most of his fucking fans have been hit in the head?
The same reason we listen to anybody on SportsCenter, nigga. Come on. How many times has Shannon Sharp been hit in the head?
Don't talk about
skip.
Don't talk about Uncle.
LeBron James is the greatest all-time skip. Why are we even talking about the skip? I'm saying, like, I get what you're saying, but my rebuttal is, like, just because you don't like half of the guests doesn't mean the show is I don't want to say irrelevant. Like it's not.
It's
It doesn't do its
irredeemable.
job. Yeah, it's
Okay, well,
irredeemable.
I'll put it this way: a lot of people take what he's saying for gospel, and they shouldn't. Um,
True. Most
I
of the
have
meatheads.
I have the perspective to not take it as gospel, but unfortunately, a lot of people who don't have that perspective will take it as gospel, and that's where the trouble starts. Because an anti-masker shows up on Joe Rogan, and these idiots are like, "Oh, well, I guess we don't have to wear masks no more," like that sort of shit. So,
Hmm.
I mean, he's not taking responsibility for introducing ignorant people and putting them on the same platform as informed people, and that's my problem with him.
I don't
So,
understand that one. Like I'm saying, like
no,
if it's the
he's putting
same,
he's
let me say this: if it's the same audience that's meatheads that listen to that, he's introducing ignorant people. He's also introducing informed people to the meatheads.
uh
That's my point.
yes.
Like the audience is getting both
Well,
sides regardless.
well, the problem is they're not capable of understanding which one is which.
That's not up to
I'm
him.
so,
That's not up to us. Like if people are watching us just to hate us, that's not up to us. Like we're two black men speaking our minds. There's probably a couple people watching us just to be mad. I'm
yeah,
not doing the
it's
show for them.
yeah, it's true. But I mean, if we're bringing on guests and you're like, okay, next week we're gonna bring on I don't know, great comic, Dwayne Kennedy, and the next week I'm gonna bring on this Klansman. Like, like what's that about? You know what I'm saying? Like,
A lot more people are gonna tune into the Klansman episode. I'm be honest.
probably.
They're gonna be
What's
like, oh,
up,
this is gonna
Nick?
be chaos. Nobody's tuning in to see if the other side gets informed either. They're tuning in to watch an argument.
What's up, niggers?
Yeah. What? Hey, Tony, how's it going? No.
Ah! Ah! Shots fired!
See how it goes on like full circle. But yeah, so to sum up this side of the show, sometimes it's not as cut and dry as racism or cut and dry as a difference of opinion, but this time it is. Uh,
Yeah,
simple as that.
there's no nuance. There's no way to slice it up. You get
Yeah,
on stage and call the Asian man a China man, ching ching, bitty bitty bing 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 bing.
it's
Oh,
gonna go badly for you.
we make gunpowder. Like
Whoa,
he
whoa,
did
whoa!
the
Stop,
whole.
Kev, stop.
No, no. I'm saying I'm quoting him.
Okay,
That's what he did. That was his.
got you.
There was a second level to what he did. After he's like, "Oh, we make gunpowder. We tried what is it like
Speaking
broccoli beef?" Like he
speaking of the
went the
second
whole
level,
way.
here's my issue with it. Like, and not even being objective. Like, as a comic, we have a job of being funny and or witty and clever. So there's always a rule that gets us so far with our creative license. Whereas if it's funny, you ain't in trouble. So if you're gonna do a joke about a risque topic or a very controversial thing with controversial language, that shit better be hilarious, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This
If you go,
wasn't that.
nope, nope. I mean, there was nothing there. There was just like pure stereotypical garbage. I mean, if you look at Don Rickles, look at Lisa Lampanelli. I mean, you look at how they did it. Like they would insult everybody.
Yep, twice.
One of the cats I opened for, the Pitbull of comedy. God, I forgot his name right now, but it's gonna
Bobby
show.
something. Bobby Slayton.
Bobby Slayton, yeah. So, thank you, Bobby Slayton, the Pitbull of comedy. I opened for him in the Punchline on Thanksgiving weekend, and people would bring their entire families just to get insulted because he was that good at it.
Yeah.
Like I remember one of his favorite snaps. Like this Indian guy was sitting there. He's like, "What's your name?" The guy's like, "Mukopadie." He's like,
Oh boy.
"Mukopadie." He's like, that sounds like the shittiest hand in Scrabble. Nigga, I died. I was like, how is he doing this?
Oh, that's hilarious.
So you know what I'm saying? So like there are cats out there like Bobby Slayton and the long gone Don Rickles and Lisa Antonelli who
I
retired that
remember I
know
was
how to
watching.
insult people.
I was watching Don Rickles' documentary back in the day. I think it's called Mister whatever his nickname was.
Mr. Wonderful, Mr.
Yeah,
Nice,
Mr.
something like
Wonderful.
that.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
was he's doing his thing in Vegas, just ripping the crowd apart, and he's walking up and down the aisle. He looks at this Asian dude. He's like, Chinese, like, wait, Chinese, Thai, Japanese. 5 years sitting in a rice paddy looking for your father. Japanese.
I mean, there's an art to it,
Yeah.
and what these edge lords are doing is not it. Just walking up and just throwing out the most dumb racist stereotypes is not comedy.
Not at
Comedy
all.
is finding the edge, man, and you got to work at that.
And they get mad when it doesn't work and they just pull some shit that's just straight up racist. Look, I've told some horrible jokes before that I've been pulled to the side about. This is him being pulled to the side. And, you've made it an error big enough to where your agency dropped you. So
Hmm.
here's the funny thing, though. He's a white man in America. He'll be just fine.
He's gonna fail up. It's gonna
He's
be
going to
fine.
be just fine. Like, he might not get any work for like a year at the most. Like, by this
Mhm.
time next year, he'll be right back to whatever he's doing. He's going to be just
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah, because like it or not, the things that he said are approved by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So all they're gonna tell him is just let the bad press die down, let it air out, and then in 2022, you're gonna be touring with Joe Rogan again. He's gonna tour with Joe Rogan until Joe Rogan dies, pretty much.
Dude, Tony Hinchcliffe, Chris D'Elia, Brian Callen, all these cats that are canceled are going to be on tour next year, no problem. They're going to be sponsored by Affliction or Rockstar or the UFC itself, and they'll be just fine.
Yeah, and then they're all gonna open with the same set. They tried to cancel me, but they couldn't cancel this, and that shit is gonna run for years. I
Yep.
promise you.
They're going to call it the
So,
Cancel Culture Comedy Tour.
mm-hmm. Yeah, not giving a fuck.
As the as
Meanwhile,
Chris
we're
Rock as Chris Rock said it best, it's all right because it's all white.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just how it is. So, not tripping.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you feel the same way about this stuff, man. Like we talked about it earlier this week when it first broke, and it was just like watching one out of 1,000. But this was the one that was at the top of the heap, doing the same thing 1,000 other white comics were doing, which is just getting on stage and just saying the most ugliest racist shit they could possibly come up with.
And
And
this
we
is
all
gonna
just had to take it and be like, all right, it's comedy, it's art.
and this is gonna sound terrible as I'm thinking it, but no one's even really saying you can't do a racist joke. It's just that there's gotta be a joke. There's gotta be a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
if you're gonna do a
yeah.
racist joke, like we just said, Don Rickles, like all these cats that like are Andrew Dice Clay, like all these dudes that have been doing racism and stereotypes in their act for years. It's gotta be funny. You left out the funny.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's nothing there. There's no punchlines. There's no pauses. There's nothing.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
mean,
saying you
yeah.
can't make the word chink in regards to a Chinese person work. It's gonna be tough, but and I would advise against it. But I'm assuming it's possible. But you didn't get there. That's the whole point. Fail.
Yeah, and there was not even an attempt.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to at least get there somehow.
you
I
can't
mean,
claim
there's some
creative
white
license
comics.
without doing anything creative.
I mean, other comics have failed at this. I mean, look at this cat, this white comic that had a black wife. They're getting divorced. He tried to get his wife to sort of cape for him for saying the N word on stage, and that didn't work. I mean, he's one of
I
those
used
cats.
to love him on Comic
Gary
View, which
Owen.
is ironic.
Yeah, Gary Owen. Yeah, I mean, Gary Owen was a funny white dude married to a black woman, and he had a lot of snaps, but he pushed it a little too far, and he didn't have the jokes to back it up, and people were like, nah, you can't do that, bro. You know, but that's the thing I love about comedy and I love about hip hop and the black community is like we self police, you know.
Yes.
So like for example, like when Meek Mill dropped that verse about Kobe, like like niggas were not having it. Like
Yeah. Like he didn't get
that,
canceled, but he got his stern talking to. It's like, hey, nigga, we understand what you were trying to do, but we telling you not to ever do that again.
yeah, yeah. Like I heard, like I saw the shit on Twitter. I was like, why is Snoop talking all this shit? Then I listened to the verse. I was like, oh no, he did it. Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh no.
Yeah, and Meek Mill was like, I would like to apologize to the Bryant family and anyone I may have affected.
And the
with
entire
words.
black community, because
Yeah.
no, you can't be doing that shit. Um, but yeah, I mean, so that's I think the Tony Hinch clips of the world are gonna realize that just like hip hop and all this stuff, like people will check you on this shit. Like, you can't just go out there. And people gas themselves up now because they have their own followings on their own podcasts and all that. Like, oh, my fans love me. My fans, yeah, okay. Well, get outside of your fans and see what everybody else says. And if everybody else is like, ugh, yeah, then maybe you're sick. Then maybe your
This is
fans are fucked up.
this is just the barest of minimums of punishment too. Like this is the first time in recorded history that the colonizing race is being held to task, at least in this country, is being held to task for the things that they do. So the fact that he did something just blatantly racist and people are like, nah, man, that's not cool. He's just like, what do you mean it's not cool? Like, it's one of those things where, like, he's always gotten away with it, so now he doesn't know how to react that something's happening. You know?
Right. Yep.
It's like, wait,
And,
punishment?
and
The fuck
as
is
the
that?
saying goes, for people who are used to privilege, equality seems like oppression. That's what you said at the beginning.
Yeah. I
Yep.
didn't say it that eloquently, but you're right.
They're like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Man, Hollywood's a mess, man. They just did this whole thing for McKinsey, which is a consulting company, and they said that Hollywood loses basically $10 billion a year due to racism. And the way that happens is because they underdevelop black movies, black shows, black influencers, and by not picking up those shows, they lose so much of an audience. You know, and I mean it's pretty clear that you can see it. I mean, Tyler Perry didn't make all that money, out of nowhere. I mean,
No, he didn't.
he picked. I mean, if Tyler Perry had come to Hollywood and said, "Hey, I want to make Medea," and any of the studios had given him a deal, you know what? It would have blown up. But they didn't. So he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it myself." And now the money's all his.
I said this earlier today, and like people are gonna rock with me, and they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose it after this. But it's like, shout out to Tyler Perry for creating an entire empire, an entire industry for black people to work in. But Medea is just earnest, scared, stupid for black people. It has been for years. Medea goes to jail. Medea scared, stupid. Medea family reunion. Medea rides a bike. Like every fucking, like, I've dated so many black women that have taken me or made me watch so many of those damn plays. Like I've seen every version of that man in a dress. You know what I mean?
Okay, this is interesting. So and these women were, I'm assuming, younger than you.
Yeah. How'd you guess?
I'm just saying.
And church going saved people. You know, and I'm not hating on the fact that I'm not hating on his formula because it absolutely works. It worked. Billions of dollars worked. Created his own studio in Atlanta and making another one in New Orleans worked. Like, definitely worked. But man, he milked that formula.
How would you? I mean, I don't know how I'd feel if some woman like in her 20s took me to see a Medea movie like that. That seems a little weird. Are you like a premature auntie? Like what the?
They are all the same movie. Every last Tyler Perry movie is some dude did some woman wrong, and then she got to go stay with her grandmama, and she gets a groove back, and then there's some light skinned dude with a job to save her. Every single one.
Yeah, it's just kind of how the world works, you know. Uh, Christopher Williams, you know, the good light skinned brother with the job at the bank.
Yeah.
Look,
And abs.
I mean, but there's so much money to be made with with black cinema, and unfortunately, what happens is a lot of stuff gets left on the ground. And I was trying to explain to people the reason it's hard to do this to try to make money in Hollywood is because they try to put you in three categories. It's either a slave movie, or a gangster movie, or a civil rights movie. Like that's it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's interesting they can always find black people for those three movies, but you can't find black people for actual black roles in like mainstream films.
yeah, just regular shit. Like like I'm here next to Tom Hanks, just doing a rom com. Sleepless in Seattle too. Like, why can't you have a brother in that? No, it's either slave movie or gangster movie or civil rights movie. And the fucked up thing is, like, in all those movies that you get killed, no matter what.
Yeah. I will say that like Hollywood is slowly inching towards change because there's a lot more projects that definitely wouldn't have been made years ago. There's a lot more diverse, a lot more African stories, a lot more LGBT stories, a lot more women's stories. Like they have heard that message a little bit, but there's still a lot of work to be done. You know?
So, so if you got the call today, Corey, like, which one do you think you would fit in best? Slave movie,
definitely
gangster movie, or okay, civil rights movie?
I'm too fat to be a slave, so I'm gonna be some kind of inner city type of deal.
Break yourself, son.
Yeah, they're gonna make me look like a fat Chicago gangster. That's what they're gonna do. And dude, it's funny you mentioned that. When I first got here, when I moved here 5 years ago, the first thing I did, like one of the first things I did, I signed with Central Casting. I got a background job. Guess what I was?
A gangster?
Inmate.
Word.
Very first role in Hollywood. Right, like put me right to
inmate.
work in a jumpsuit.
Nice. Like, oh, he eating all the honey buns. Look at this nigga.
First day on the job, bruh. Like literally the second week I was here, I was a fucking inmate.
Isn't that a bit symbolic, don't you think?
It's crazy how that works.
Welcome to Hollywood. Here's a jumpsuit, nigga.
I mean, without the nigger part, that's exactly what they did. It was like, hey, welcome to the set. Here you 9731-5, you know?
Nah. I'll probably do a slave movie because I still have that like African body. Like I look like I really do. Like I really do look like I'm from the third world. So they're
I
like,
don't
oh,
know
we just
how
got
to
this one.
agree with that. That's like if I agree with that, that's an insult still. Like I'm like, oh yeah, you do got a slave body. The fuck, nah. Like I mean, I get what you mean, but I don't want to agree with you. Like you definitely look
like straight off the continent. Like like I don't eat American food. Like I look like a third world refugee. Like all right,
you have a loincloth body.
I'll take that as a compliment somehow. I don't know. A loincloth body. Fuck you, nigga.
That's my point, man. There's no other way for you to say that. That's fucked up.
I have you know what? I will never let that go.
Hey,
That's funny,
I just had to hear all about the honey buns and shit, but I was like, you the one brought up like, oh, I look like a slave. I'm like, well, how do I agree with you without making this worse?
Got a loincloth body. Okay, fine, yeah. Oh, Willy, Ungana.
Nigga, how do you start the show every week?
Ungana.
Stop.
So yeah,
Stop.
so that's hilarious.
Damn it, Tolu. Stop it.
Tolu. But the third person is one that we could all play, which is the civil rights activist.
Yes.
And that's the scary one because there's always a civil rights person that dies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? it's like, I may not see you at the mountaintop. Bop, bop, bop.
Well,
Like,
time out, man. It's not scary because you play that role. It's scary because the actual role in life. Every black leader in America has been assassinated or had their character assassinated. Every last one of them that doesn't have a perm.
yep. I was thinking
The
about like
perm
if
is the
Rosa.
safety net.
I was thinking if Rosa Parks, if they ever did like a movie about Rosa Parks, like they'd somehow find a way to have her kill at the end, like she get hit by the bus or some
I think that's part of it. Like white people, it's like a horror movie. White people have to know. No, they're gone now. Oh, thank God.
shit. Rosa Parks is like, I got up. Like,
If Hollywood makes a Rosa Parks biopic, she's gonna get hit by the bus.
yep, yep. Man,
Laugh at
I'm
our
just.
pain. All right, let's move on, man. There's got to be something better.
Oh, okay. So was it like May something? People are getting their masks off. I just got my second vaccination. You're
Gotcha.
vaccinated, right?
I'm half vaccinated. I do it again end of this month. So whenever I get back from Vegas, which will be
Okay, yeah.
necessary. I'm gonna need more than one vaccination when I get back from Las Vegas. I'm gonna need several injections.
Yeah, I mean, that's just for the chlamydia. But
Yeah. Hey, hi-yo.
yes, sir. No, but we were just talking earlier, waxing philosophical about back when we were kids, when summertime comes around. This is the time when your mama and them get sick of you because you're not in school anymore, and they have to send you away to a relative, and that could be great or it could be awful.
Yeah.
Because
And
look, when you're a kid, like you used to your house, you have your toys, you have your shit, right? And you go to some relative's house, you know what I mean? I mean, it's like auntie
yeah.
such and such, it's like they got their kids and they got their own toys and their own shit.
Like my mom used to send me off to Stockton to be with my grandpa, and I love my grandpa to death, may rest in peace. But I hated Stockton because it's like nothing to fucking do out there, and it's just hot and like yeah, it's just hot and desolate. We had like a water slide like way on the other side of town. It was in like a little mini golf place, and there's only so many times he's gonna take me to that when I was a kid, And there's only so many times I can play with my toys and shit. But it's interesting to think about like the idea of sending your if your parents got money, they send you to summer camp. If they don't, they send you to just go stay with your grandparents for a month or something. But how
Right.
much do you think they would have loved to have been able to do that shit during the pandemic? It's like get these motherfuckers out of my house for a month.
Yep, just ship them out somewhere. Yeah, I mean, my parents were like that all the time, like every time because there's five of us, five kids. I mean, of course they got tired of us. So they just ship us out, and sometimes we stay with my auntie. That my auntie had money, so she had like real video games. Like we're like, oh shit, this is a real video game. And then sometimes we said my other auntie where she didn't even have like cable TV, so it was like, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
she has like little rabbit ears and shit. Like there's nothing you could do. I just sit there like in the basement. She had like a stack of National Enquirer magazines. Would just read them because I had nothing else to do.
That
And
was
this
the
was like
For those of you that are under 30, National Enquirer is like TMZ but in print.
yeah, pretty much. So like all the magazines were about Michael Jackson and his monkey, or Elizabeth Taylor and Burt Reynolds. Like I mean, like there's a lot of like dumb trivia '80s shit in my head because that's all I had was
Mm-hmm.
staying in my auntie's house. Oh man, I remember how cool it was to, I mean, especially if you like grew up poor. Like we didn't have like video games in our house. We couldn't
Mm-hmm.
afford video games, but to go to somebody's house that had like a video console, it's like yo, we could play this game all day. You know, you
Yo,
know.
you had mentioned like you had a cousin that had like a videotape player, like
Mhm.
VHS. For those of you that are under 30, a VHS is this cassette that actually played movies because back in the day you actually had to have the physical movie. You couldn't just stream it to your device. You had to actually have the thing and play it on the thing for the thing to play.
Oh yeah. One of my cousins had a whole stack of videos, and we would just watch movies like all day, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We would watch the Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. The I remember watching that first Mad Max Roadrunner stuff on
Oh
that.
man. The '80s was
And
like that was the best year for VHS tapes. I swear to I still say this that when I make it, if I ever become a billionaire, I'm just gonna buy a network and play nothing but '80s action movies on it.
oh yeah. Put that first RoboCop on it. That first
Yeah.
RoboCop. That first RoboCop. Like that
RoboCop
shit.
1, Commando, Hard to
Yep.
Kill, Bloodsport, just all
Yep.
muscles, grease, guns, split kicks, like all that
Yep.
shit, man. I'm gonna call it
I
Balls, Ballz, the Balls Network.
Yo, dare to dream, man. We could do that. We could do that. You have to put up that
Predator.
Jim Cot. You have to remember Jim Cotta though. Jim Cotta, that shit used to kill me. It was this dude. He actually won Olympic gold medal for the U.S. in gymnastics, and he tried to spin it into a kung fu movie.
Oh,
And
get
he
the
tried to create this thing called Jim Cotta.
I thought you were talking about like when people do tricks in cars.
No. Jim Cotta. It's hilarious because they tried to
Who's
make the
Jim
movie
Carter?
where like he used Jim Cotta. They try to make the movie where this nigga always found a way to use his gymnastic skills to kill people. So like he run into like some bad dudes and all of a sudden there'd be like a pommel horse like right there. And he got a pommel horse, do his pommel horse routine and murder these niggas. And then next
Just a
scene,
hurricane kick on the pommel horse.
yeah, for real, I'm serious. Jim Cotta, it was the greatest horrible movie ever.
I gotta
So we
look
should
that
watch-
up.
Yeah, Jim Cotta, Gymkata, Jim Cotta.
Gotcha.
It's great.
I'm gonna look it up. Yo,
And
here's the thing.
well-
Here's the thing about VHSs though. Like when I was a kid, like there was a lot of like the beauty of a VHS tape is you could record anything over it, right? And when I was a kid, I
Yep.
don't know if I was at my own house or I was at my buddy's house, but one time we ran across a tape that was actually a porno. And I was about 10 or 11 years old, and that was the greatest film ever. And from then on, until there was a new media, until the internet came out, my job was to scour the earth for videotapes that might actually have some titties on them.
So what do you say
Every
was
tape,
actually?
you never know.
So what do you say was actually poor? What was the tape? What was on the the
Oh,
cover
it
of
was
the tape though?
horrible. It was one of those old school porns like that's just like I'm pretty sure it didn't even have a title. It probably just called like Bitches in Heat 4 or some shit like that. And it had like just hairy pussy and like the tracking that big tracking line going through it. There was no audio besides like that you know this is porn music. Like there was no sound. It was just that yeah.
But that has to be as a child. That has to be a discovery though, because you go like,
Oh.
holy shit, this
It
tape
either
it-
shaped or scarred me for life.
and I bet the videotape had some like innocent label like Jane Fonda Workout 2 or something, right?
It had no label. That was the thing. So I was always looking for the tapes that had no label. Sometimes they were blank.
Ah!
Sometimes it was like an old episode of MASH. You never know.
Right. And that's the thing. Old motherfuckers used to hide their porno in plain sight because in the
Yeah.
VHS case they'd have tapes, labeled, like first episode of Cheers or MASH 2, or but you put that shit on and like 5 minutes all of a sudden it's like
Yeah. Because again, kids, a VHS tape pretty much is about the size of a book. You know what I mean? Now, books are these things that people used to open up and read that had knowledge.
Don't give them
before-
too much knowledge. Don't give
Yeah,
them too much knowledge.
Exactly.
Right away.
So, like, hold out down the spine of the tape is about this much space, right? And that would be a giant white label. And you couldn't just write, like, Anal Horse 4. You had to write, like, Angels in the Outfield. Okay? And if you're a kid and you're like, oh, great, Angels in the Outfield. This isn't Angels in the Outfield at all. I mean, somebody's in the outfield, but wow.
Yeah, way in the out. Yeah, that's definitely the outfield. Ooh.
Yeah, there's balls and bats involved in this, but this is not the sport that I was expecting.
But I used to love those fucking tapes where like it's clearly dubbed over because see what happened was they had a security device in the VHS tape, which is this hole, which says if this hole exists, you cannot record over it. Well, that device was defeated by a thing called masking tape.
Or a
You
piece
take
of
a
paper.
piece,
Like,
yeah,
just
you
bunch
take
up
a piece of
paper,
masking
stick it in
tape,
there.
cover it over. You can do whatever. So sometimes you will put in a tape, and it starts off as Jane Fonda's workout too, and 3 minutes into it, it just waves into porno. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as a kid, you have no, on the summertime, you going over your relative's house, you have nothing better to do than to play all their videotapes, and the only thing that was like fucked up about it was like if you found porno, finding a way to rewind the tape back to where it was when you found it,
Oh man.
so they don't know that you've seen it, and that is a hard skill, my friends.
And it takes time, and it's a lot of time it's time you don't have because you might be watching a tape and then you hear someone come in. You gotta clean up. You gotta turn it off, and then just hope that nobody knows what you're up to, even though you're trying to watch All Dogs Go to Heaven, but you're watching Backdoor Sluts 9.
Shout out to summertime in relatives' houses, man. If you're a kid out there, find all their porn. Learn.
No, you will.
learn,
You never will because it's on videotape, and you won't even know how to use it.
like they'd be holding their phone up to the tape, like, okay, play.
That's like me trying to use an abacus. A kid these days trying to use a fucking VHS recorder, VCR.
I had a VCR up until 2016, then the belt died, and I was trying to find anybody to fix it, and they're like, nigga.
Yeah, because like, why? Like, get a DVD. Like, no, get a phone. Like who even has a DVD player anymore? I don't think I have one. I don't have one on my gaming PC. I don't have a disk drive on this thing.
Yeah, I have a Blu-ray player, just because it's important to own some of the shit that you own. And the problem is they could always flip it off on you and be like, oh, well, you know what? You don't own that anymore. And you can't be like, fuck, I don't. I have the actual shit in my hand. I own this, right? So
Well, that's why I have a bunch of hard drives full of shit. Like let's just put it like this. Back when Napster and file sharing protocols were going on, I made a killing. if I actually had to pay for all the content I own, I would be a millionaire.
FBI, he's right here. He's right here.
I don't give a fuck. I'll get
Alpha
you
Zebra,
want it back?
752.
Take the hard drive for all I give a shit. It's either the most expensive thing in the world or it's worthless. I've already consumed it.
Yeah. I mean, if you try to resell it, then they will give a shit about it.
Yeah, exactly. I never wanted to resell it.
But they
I just
can't
own
because look, by this time China's resold everything 1,000 times. China does not give a shit about copyrights. So so if they come after you, you just be like, yo,
bro,
you're looking at me versus 1,000.
Remember
Chinese
a couple
people
days
selling
ago, I shot you that DM where it was like all the knockoff toys.
Oh yeah. Special man. Fucking
G.I. Jeff.
Dog, that was the fucking thirstiest, most ghettoest shit ever seen. Okay, everybody, imagine Superman, same costume, but instead of Superman, it just says Special Man. That's the most ghetto ass bootleggish
The
shit I've ever
Chinese
seen in my
/
life.
Taiwan resale market does not give a fuck.
Special Man.
All right, man. We're getting close to the hour. What else? Is there anything else we wanted to talk about today?
Okay, real quick. I just wanted to like pop in and talk about Lakers playing because looks like LeBron is back, so y'all might actually be in the mix. You might actually right now the games they're playing right now. Depending on what happens, the Lakers might get the 6th seed, so you won't have to play in. But if you don't, then you're gonna have to face my dubs,
Mm-hmm.
and you know,
And
you
beat them.
know,
Like
nah,
I don't know.
nah,
I don't know what
son.
to tell you, bro. Like y'all.
Brat, brat, brat. The Bay don't play all
Steph
day,
is an
every
amazing
day.
player, and he's one man. Y'all, like it was a fun
Uh,
ride to be like, oh, we almost got the same record, but yeah, it's Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Schroder, surprisingly, Drummond, and y'all got
yeah,
one dude.
yeah, that's
Y'all
true.
got
We don't
one
have
dude.
we don't have size. We don't have
I'm not
size.
even
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
not even
problem.
talking shit. Y'all got one guy
Yeah, 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 we don't have size. I mean, if they want, I mean,
or defense at this point. I
The
mean, you've
Lakers
been
can
playing
kill the
better,
Warriors
but
in the
like
paint.
you
The
got
Lakers
one
can kill
guy.
the Warriors in the paint. I
It's
mean,
go
you got,
all rely. Steph got to score 60 to beat us.
yeah, we have no 7 footers.
Yeah,
You got too many big bodies in the paint. You could just
yeah.
throw it in the paint and kill us. But shout out to Steph Curry. He's probably going to win the scoring title. If Bradley Beal doesn't play today, Steph Curry's going to win the scoring title. So shout out
I
to him for
need the
that.
Nuggets to pull this one out. Like, it's not that I don't want to play y'all. It's just the shame of being in the play-in tournament after all this shit I was talking.
Yeah, yeah, no, you don't want to be in that bum fight, man. I mean, it's just
Yeah, if
it's
you could avoid
embarrassing.
being a lower seed, yeah. But like, it's like let's not act like nobody wants to see Lakers versus Warriors. Like everybody wants that game, you know.
Yep. Yeah, but at the same time though, it's like I kind of don't because I know like Steph can't make up for not having 3 All-Stars and a giant big hairy motherfucker in the paint that fucking
Why it's got to
Andrew
be hairy?
Drummond. He's a hairy motherfucker. He has hair on his fucking shoulders. Okay, that's a
Yeah,
hairy dude. If you have hair on your shoulders,
yeah.
that's beyond hairy. That's like
Anthony
bear
Davis has
hairy.
hair like his has shoulder hair on his forehead.
Yeah, okay, that's even worse. I mean, come on, like y'all just too big and hairy. That's just how it is. Um,
Hey, y'all beat the Grizzlies today, by the way.
oh shit. Oh, is that what? Okay, cool. So we're close. Okay. Shout out to Ja Morant. That nigga. I mean, he's a little dude, but he plays like I don't know how long it's
He's
gonna
the same
last,
size
dog.
as you.
No, he's not. No, he's smaller. He's 6'3", 190 pounds.
That's
Okay,
like
I'm six
that's a,
six. I'm
oh,
six six 220.
I thought you were
That's
six
a
four.
whole other. What?
I thought you said you were 6'4". I don't know.
No, I'm 6'6".
Okay, excuse me. Shit.
Yeah, 6'6", 220. No. Ja he's 6'3", like a buck 80 wet, and he's
Mhm.
dunking on niggas for no reason. But I do remember when Blake Griffin came into the league and he was
Mhm.
just like blowing everybody up. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, do you, man? But that's not gonna last.
Yeah.
So anyway, so check this out. As far as shows go, uh, on the 20th, coming up on the
Mhm.
20th, a Diablo bar and restaurant out here in East Hollywood. I will be featuring with Sal Kalani, the homie from the Bay. So we're starting to do live comedy again out here in LA.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
try and be there with you. Shit. On 20th.
yeah. Come through.
Yep.
And on top of that, I have another June 26th. I'm really excited about this show. It's a show raising money for Democratic candidates, and I'll be opening for Greg Proops, which is a
Oh,
huge
dope.
deal. Yeah, so try to get that out there. Try to get as many people to watch it. Uh, it's gonna be a Zoom show, but we're gonna try to broadcast it. So I'm trying to get that out there.
Okay, cool, cool.
So
Nice.
now, what you got popping, man?
I'm starting to get some actual. I'm happy to say my schedule's starting to fill up a little bit. I'm gonna be going to Vegas, the 26th through the 28th. I'm doing the 1865 Comedy Festival out in Atlanta, Georgia, from June 17th through the 20th, and I will be back at the Savage Henry Comedy Club on July 2nd out there in Eureka, where all the drugs and weed and shit is, and that's always a fun show.
Yeah, yep. Eureka, that border between California and Oregon. I mean,
It goes
yeah.
down on the border, man.
Yeah, I mean, for real, like everybody that's like living like greasy out here in LA, you don't need to do that. Just go up to Eureka, and the entire place is like that.
Yeah. The only downside is you are like you damn near need an outhouse because it is the forest, you know.
Hmm.
But I think that does it for another Showtime and Kev podcast. I'm Corey Showtime,
I'm Kevin Monroe.
and we will see you next week. Same black time, same black station. Thank you all so much for showing up. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get off Al Gore's internet. All right, peace out, y'all.